Have you ever put it out there to somebody, I don't trust you, or you're not trustworthy? Just a flat out blanket statement about trust. I can imagine everybody's done this at least once in their life, and how did that go for you? I imagine not that well. Usually this kind of approach brings up defensiveness, and it takes somebody into justification and also showing you all kinds of evidence to prove that they are trustworthy. So in this session, I'm going to give you another way of how you can approach this issue of trust, and so that you don't end up in one of these back and forth battles where you're both trying to prove your point. Instead, I'm going to give you 3 different directions for you to reflect and act upon around this concept of trust. And by the end of this session, you're going to have a way to be able to have better relationships, including the relationship with yourself, and to be able to create a container of safety around you. The first thing that you can reflect upon when it comes to this concept of trust is that it's something that is compartmental. It's not an all or a nothing. Usually you can trust somebody in one area and you can't trust them in another area. And so it's really helpful for you and for the other person when you can break it down like this. When you get clear within yourself around what you can trust them on, and that there are other areas where you can't trust them, then you are going to approach that person from a completely different place of, I can't trust you about anything, versus, hey, here I can trust you, and here I'm struggling to trust you, or I can't trust you. So you're gonna have a different energy in how you're approaching them. And then it's also going to be easier to receive you. Because if you come in with, you're not trustworthy, or I don't trust you, that's going to trigger somebody into, I'm not good enough, I'm a bad person, and they're going to bring up their defenses. Whereas if you do go into it from the standpoint of, I can trust you in this way and I can't trust you in that way, then they still can feel like they're a good person and they can see the area for improvement. Having this kind of clarity is also going to support both of you in being able to do something about it. Because when you say, I can't trust you, then it's vague, it's open. That could mean so many different things. But when you go in it into one area, it's much easier to work on things, to heal and to transform them, to change actions and behaviors when there's clarity. And then you're able to speak to how you would like to have these things done differently. So this is a really helpful way to be able to maintain the connection both with yourself and with the other person, and to create a more harmonious and safe atmosphere for everybody when talking about these issues of trust with somebody else, to be able to break it down into what you can trust them on and what you can't trust them on. The second point for reflection around this concept of trust is that I want you to reflect upon where you can trust yourself and where you're struggling to trust yourself, and how you're showing up fully and authentically. So if you're having a hard time trusting other people, I'd like for you to look at, can you trust yourself when you're around those people or when you're around that person? Can you trust yourself to show up fully and authentically, to express your feelings and needs, to set your boundaries and state your preferences of what you want and you don't want? Do you feel comfortable to put those things out there? Or do you struggle and you hold them back, and therefore you're having a hard time trusting other people because you can't trust yourself to show up fully and to stand up for yourself? This second point is really helpful and also empowering. While you can speak to what you trust and don't trust in somebody else, your influence and control over them only goes so far. Whereas when you reflect upon yourself and you can see how you can show up better and take care of yourself, that's something that you really have all the control over. And so it can be very empowering. And as you develop this strong sense of self, and that you know what you want and you need, you know what your boundaries are, and you have the ability to express them directly, then you are going to take this sense of safety with you wherever you go. And even if you come up against somebody who's not trustworthy, you trust yourself to be able to adapt to that and to handle that situation so that you can continue to maintain a sense of self and to feel safe. And the third point that I want to bring up that you can reflect upon to bring more trust into your life and into your relationships is to reflect upon things of your past. So to inquire into, what is your programming that you have around trust? What does it mean to trust? And what's scary about trusting people? For some people, just being vulnerable or needing to ask somebody for something or relying upon somebody, that this can be really uncomfortable. And for others, that feels okay and it doesn't bring up issues for them. Also, you can inquire into if there's certain kinds of people that you have a hard time trusting. So do you deem these people trustworthy and these people untrustworthy? Are you projecting this concept of trust onto a whole group of people? So it can be good to become aware of the beliefs that you have. So identify the groups of people that you don't trust and why, and start to question those beliefs. And then another point when looking into your past is to see what wounds that you have around this topic. And this can be wounds around what it means to trust somebody in a relationship. And it can also be wounds around yourself, your sense of self, and feeling deserving. So if you're having a hard time expressing your feelings and needs, or even knowing what those are, then that's going to be really hard to come up and create a sense of safety for yourself, to trust yourself to show up fully. So all of this requires a much deeper inquiry and also a deeper healing to be able to show up in these different areas. I'm going to conclude this video here, and in next week's video I will go into more detail around how to inquire into this third point and to do deeper healing. It's really important for me that these videos are supporting your transformation, and it's not just information. And already in this video I've given you a lot to reflect upon. If you are struggling with trust with somebody, to first look at in what areas you can trust them and in what areas you can't trust them. And then the second direction for reflection is with yourself. So in what ways are you having a hard time trusting yourself to show up fully? That already is a lot to reflect upon. In next week's video, I'll go deeper into the third point in the third topic. If you enjoyed this video, please press like, and if you want more of this stuff for the future, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you get notifications each week when these videos are coming out to support you in your path of personal development and living full, free, and fearlessly.